How can people participate in research if they want to help?
Well, there's several ways. Um, um, First of all, uh, one big problem, I could say a lot about this. One big problem is getting people in the United States to be willing to participate in clinical trials because the FDA wants to see how these drugs actually work in Americans. If you look at most of the recent clinical trials in spondyloarthritis, it's overloaded with people from Eastern Europe or the like, where the access to healthcare is much worse, and these people are very happy to get these access to these medications. But the FDA has concerns because they really want to see how they perform in the United States. So this is a challenge. So we people need to be willing to participate in these clinical trials. Some may work. They may find a new answer. Some may not. Um, there are research studies that there are like enrolling in cohorts like what we have with the respective study in ankylosing spondylitis severity, SOAS study, which has been going on since 2003. The approximately 1,300 patients who are now participating in that have really helped us a great deal to understand what happens with the disease over time, to define the genetics of the disease, and ultimately to define how genetics and medications interplay with each other to affect outcome, as well as other non-genetic factors. Um, and of course, without any question, to contribute to research, to groups such as the Spondylitis Association of America and the like, which do sponsor a lot of this research, uh, to help to make this happen. Funding is tight at the National Institutes of Health right now, and we don't have enough spondylitis researchers in the United States. It's an unmet need. It's an unmet need because we also need to be cognizant of the fact that only 14% of the people in the United States with chronic back pain ever see a rheumatologist. And that the concept of axial spondyloarthritis, which is 3 times more common than ankylosing spondylitis, is not grasped by the primary care practitioners. So the unmet needs of the patient is massive. Okay, realizing that low back pain, chronic low back pain, is one of the most common reasons to see a primary care doctor, one of the most common causes of disability. So the indirect costs are huge, and they're not being dealt with as effectively in this country as they could be. So I think patients, so helping to contribute to researchers, help us to research, helping groups like the Spotlight Association of America and the like to help sponsor young researchers to help bring more to the fore as people like me start leaving the scene, which hopefully isn't too soon. It's going to be key for the future, and
Good.
the patient can really help. The patient drive this. The work that we did on finding those genes, the recent work that helped to give that gene profile I just talked about,
Yeah.
actually wasn't from the National Institutes of Health. It was from a grateful patient.
Wow.
It was funded by our 1,002 patients that the genetic studies were funded by a grateful patient. So really, it's important. Patients make a huge difference.
So, how do we connect patients with spondylitis to these clinical trials for really important research?
On the website of the Spondylitis Association of America, there is a listing of current clinical trials who are enrolling patients, testing a lot of these new drugs out, as well as other clinical studies that are ongoing in the United States. And that's a very useful place to look. You can also look at clinicaltrials.gov, which is a list of all the clinical trials that are ongoing in really virtually every disease, but you can see what is actually happening in the various types of spondyloarthritis, where the trials are occurring, and which are still enrolling.